Yo, welcome to another episode of the Larry Ohh Show. Thank you so much for joining. I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor and this big giveaway that we have yet again this week, which is from Dear Reality, which is also owned by Sennheiser. So shout out to Sennheiser for sponsoring this podcast. Today, Sennheiser and Dear Reality are giving away 2 plugins to people in the comments, as well as all of my FL Studio and production courses. So the first plugin is Dear Reality Exoverb. It's an amazing reverb plugin, as you can see here, really in depth. You can really create your own space, your own room, your own style. Sounds amazing. It's great for vocals and instruments. It's very versatile. The second plugin we're giving away is Dear VR Mix. This one you can use on pretty much any pair of headphones that you have in your studio. If you don't have the Sennheisers, you can use this plugin paired with any headphones. It's not really great for monitors, but if you have a good pair of headphones, you can virtually create different rooms and different mixing environments. You have mix room A, B, a car, club, home theater, kitchen, and it emulates those environments, so you don't have to export your mix a bunch of different times, going in and out of the car and playing it on different sound systems. With that being said, yes, these 2 plugins we're giving away to one person in the comment section down below, as well as 5 other winners that are going to be winning my entire FL Studio and music production suite. That's all of the courses that I've ever made. Again, shout out to Sennheiser and Dear Reality for sponsoring and doing this amazing giveaway. With that being said, let's hop into the episode. Yo, welcome to another episode of the Larry Ohh Show. Got my co-host with me again.
You already know it's John Phelps.
Very energetic. I love it. Thank you for joining us again. This week, like every other week, we have a bunch of giveaways. Not really sure if we're giving away the plugin, but if we are, I'll insert that at the beginning of the episode and I'll cut this out, blah, blah, blah. But we are also giving away 5 copies of all my FL Studio and music production courses to people in the comments here on YouTube. So wait for that key phrase. Comment it down in the comment section down below here on YouTube. We're also going to be announcing last week's winners here in this episode, so stay tuned for that. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I wrote down a lot of hidden gems. We got to get to some hidden stuff. Last episode was cool. Had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, let's just hop right into this one. We got some hidden gems, some verses. Let's do maybe a Guess That plugin today.
Yeah.
Get back to that. It's been a few weeks since the Guess That plugin stuff.
Let's go. Yeah.
We gave it a little bit of a rest.
I like that Guess That tempo I saw
Guess
on the
the
notes.
tempo.
That would be
I
a
stole.
fun one.
I'm not going to lie. I stole that from BeatStars. I don't know if they stole it from somebody else, but I noticed it on BeatStars account, which is really, really dope. Interactive stuff. And it's a great way that they started integrating people's beats on their platform into their content. And I think it's one of the most successful pieces of content that I've seen from them in a bit. They'll post something like a screenshot of a tweet, and they'll put it up, and it'll say, guess this tempo, and it'll be like A, B, C, D, and it'll give you 4 tempos, and they'll play a beat, but it's also a beat that's on their platform, and they tag the producer, they promote them, and it's getting a ton of interaction, and it's always a fire beat. So I think we'll maybe try something like that. Try Guess This plugin. Still no FL Studio 21.3. Still none.
Hey.
It's been months now. I don't know what's going on over there, but just wanted to throw that out there if anybody's wondering.
Tapping my foot over here.
I checked this morning. As of right now, as of filming this episode, 21.3 is not, it's not up yet. So and it's been months, bro. But I want to do a versus. This was originally I was gonna do this gem. I was gonna do this as a gem, the noise canceling stuff, but I wanted to do it as a versus. So my question to you, or versus, is noise canceling through Edison or a noise gate, say with the limiter. So if you have like a noisy recording, say, you didn't get to record it in a booth or whatever, are you going towards, that feature that's in Edison, right?
Yeah,
noise cancellation.
The scrub?
Yeah, the scrub, little toothbrush thing.
Yeah.
Are you going that route, or are you going maybe like a noise gate? Or, I mean, you could do versus, a 3-way triple threat match. And you could say, are you just like cutting the dead space that has the noise when in the playlist? You're just like, you're clipping them.
I mean, if it's that noticeable, I'll cut it out of the playlist. And then a thing that I've been doing, like, the scrub doesn't give me enough. Like, for me personally, it's not enough controllability. So with the noise gate and the limiter, what I'll sometimes do is I'll tweak that a little bit, and then I'll put that before a reverb or delay. Okay. So that way, any sort of like cuts that you might hear are kind of like smoothed out by any sort of delay or reverb. That's kind of like my little sauce there.
That's cool.
I'll do the limiter. Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. for people that don't know, I mean, and we have this beautiful TV screen here.
We got a little.
Now we can interact, and you can see what I'm seeing.
That's what I'm saying.
Whereas before I was just doing it, and you were just
and I was just taking your word for it.
You were just like, hey, he's doing this thing.
Yeah, I remember that. I've done that before.
But yo, if you're not familiar with the Edison technique that we were just talking about, I don't even have to load up an audio clip to show you. I guess I can, but let's just say we got something like this going on, right? This is just a drum loop, but you can right click on it, open in Edison, and then let's say we got some noise in here. There is no noise because this is a pre-made drum loop, but say we got some noise and you zoom in, scroll the mouse wheel, zoom in as close as you possibly can to see some of that like little bit of noise right there. Let's say like that's the noise we want to capture. Right click on this toothbrush tool and it acquires the noise profile. So then you can just double click, zoom out if you like, just to see everything. And then you can hit that toothbrush again, and then you can hit accept. So what that's going to do is take anything that has that noise frequency profile in there, and it's going to completely get rid of it from the entire sample. So now you can see it did do something in there. There wasn't really noise per se in this, but
now a big thing with using this tool I've noticed is that you want to be really careful about how much of the sample and not to get much of the transients of the hits.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is if you grab something that's like in the transient of the sample, you'll kind of like warble off or cut off some of the
you have to be
sound
careful
effect.
with it.
Yeah,
you got to be careful with it. Like I said, that's why I was like, yo, you got to zoom in tight.
Zoom way in.
And don't highlight too much of it. Even though we're zoomed in this much, like highlight like that, say like this is the noise, but yeah, you can see like, oh, I want to get rid of all this noise. Don't even go ahead and click that much of it and highlight that much of it. Just get maybe say that much,
right,
and acquire that noise profile. But then the other cool thing is like you can also adjust the sensitivity and whatnot. So you can adjust that. If you hit accept and it takes away too much, and you hear that the sample sounds like muffled and maybe like tingy or sharp,
right.
It definitely can affect it. So be careful. Use the threshold. Use the amount knob. Adjust some declicking sensitivity here. You got a declipper now. I feel like that's new though.
I have no clue.
Is that new?
I have no clue.
Damn, that seems like it's new. This I don't know. I don't remember this declipper here. I could be wrong. The declipper and declicker may be some new denoise features. I could be wrong though.
Right, that
Something
might
maybe
adjust
I didn't
like the in and out of like whatever the wherever the effect is applied.
True. Yeah, so you go straight to the gate in the limiter.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that all day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I used to have to
I'll
do
try
this
the
so
scrubber
much.
out the next time though. Next time I get in the studio.
You know what put me onto this is because I had to we talked about this with Otto when Otto was on. And we talked about Cool Edit Pro and Adobe Audition back then.
Yeah.
They had that technology back then.
Right.
So when I went to FL Studio to start recording and I had noisy recordings and whatnot, I was like, yo, I wish FL had something like that. And I don't know how, maybe I had to search forums. I can't remember exactly, but I stumbled across this and sure enough, FL had it. And I was like the happiest guy on the planet. I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Now I can cut out that HVAC sound.
Yeah, bro, nothing but like noisy recordings.
Yeah.
How about another verses? Intro or no intro in your beats? Are you getting straight to the point? If you had to choose one.
Yeah.
Straight to the point or an intro, not a long intro, but
when I'm making beats, I'll include an intro just because it's a different section that you can kind of work with later. But when I'm making songs, I'm cutting the intro mad short. Probably be like a 10-second intro.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of getting right to it. But with the beat, like, sending, like if you're a producer sending beats out, I recommend having intros just because if you're sending it to produce or other people, like other artists and stuff, they can then use that section to like sub out for like, oh, I really like the intro. I don't want to use it as an intro, but I want to use it, right before the hook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They can engineer it however they want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Splice it together. And that goes to my next point. I just started working with this kid who makes beats. He makes beats on Ableton, which is crazy. But he was asking me for like some feedback and some advice. And I didn't have any advice in terms of his beats because they sound fantastic. But my piece of advice was include your BPMs and your key, the key of the song in the file name.
It saves time.
Because a good engineer will know how to work around that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
But having it right there so there's no guesswork is just saves so much time.
It's a time saver. Yeah. Engineer pretty much you've been in the engineering game for like a little bit. You know.
Yeah, you can tap it out. You know what I'm saying?
Even no matter what DAW you're on. In FL Studio, there's multiple ways. In other DAWs, there's other ways. There's plugins, third-party plugins. I love mixed in key. The tech tempo. Sometimes even if it's included, bro. Even if the key is included in the file name, like I have that habit of just checking it anyways because sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes whatever key detection they used is wrong.
Right.
You know. So I like to just go to mixed in key and just do it myself because that takes literally 2 seconds. Throw it on the master or whatever the beat track is and get right to it. How about one more verses? I don't know if you have any verses for me, but I got one more. Oh, no, you go.
I got a little joint here.
Yeah, you go.
This is kind of a different verses, but I wanted to try it out. Was like saying verses for genres to produce. Okay. So like, would you rather produce rap beats or R&B?
Rap.
Rap?
Yeah. I like R&B beats. I have done my fair share of R&B stuff.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose one, it'd be rap. I just like the harder stuff. If I end up making R&B, it ends up being like harder R&B. Because I've done like a decent amount of R&B. There was a time, there was a time where I did a lot of R&B stuff, and it was probably like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. But it was like harder drum style R&B, but they were still had that R&B smooth, laid back kind of vibe. But I would always still 808 would be hard, bass would be hard, drums would be hard. I could never just
still smacking.
Yeah, I can never do like a soft beat. It's just it's not in me. It just never goes in that direction ever. So yeah, rap. It'd be rap for sure.
Hell yeah.
All right, yeah. There's some gems that I wrote down, and there's some like really really good ones that we haven't talked about here. The full sample preview. Have you ever heard about that?
I think we talked about that.
Did we talk about it?
I believe so. You like
we may have.
Is it like a button that you press down or something?
So this is the cool thing. Before there was a workaround. So let's say we got loops, right? This might play the full loop, but say it gets cut off. It's probably gonna get cut off. See how it just got cut off right there? You could hold the Alt key and click it,
right,
and it'll play the whole sample. Nice, right? It'll play that whole sample. Now, I can't remember which version they added it to, but now you can turn it on for your entire session if you click the browser's drop-down menu and you go down full sample preview and just check it. Now, every time you click a sample,
there you go.
This is the thing. You might be used to them not playing the whole sample, and it might be annoying because then you know how like you probably get into the habit now of using FL for so long, you'll click a sample and know that it's subconsciously know that it's just going to stop. And you maybe go on to doing some other thing in the playlist or in the channel rack or whatever, and it stops. But now if you have a 1 minute long sample, it's going to keep going. You're like, damn, that's happened to me. Because I've turned that feature on. I turned it off, bro. Honestly, I just got so used to not having the full sample preview that I like it. So I just leave it. And then I use the Alt key if I want to hear the full sample preview.
I fuck with it.
That brings me to like the browser. This is something that doesn't get really talked about much is how good the browser has gotten over the last like year. And the things that you could do in here with tags, and now you have the sample down in the bottom. You can move this knob right here, this level. This is like a sample preview level, right? So now any sample that you bring in is going to be at that level.
Oh, okay.
So like say your beat is however loud you know, and the sample you want to blend the sample as you're previewing it, you can do it. So now you can preview samples at whatever level you'd like and adjust those. That's an awesome feature. The other thing that's really cool in the browser in the last year or so is adding tags. So you want to add a tag to your favorite drum loops, just add a tag and just say drum loop. And then any drum loop that you have, add that tag to it. Or you can add this favorite. You can star it here.
There you go.
And then it'll end up in your starred section up in the top. So that's really cool too. What else in here? You can edit your tags. So you go in here. You can locate the file, but obviously if you're in the playlist, it's already located. You know what I mean? But that's a couple of like really cool things that I feel like go unnoticed about the browser in the last year or so. They got talked about a little bit. I might have talked about them a little bit, but people forget. I forget. There's some of the features that I haven't really used in there, like the tagging. I got to tag more of my stuff. to be honest. I think that'll just the thing is that it's a time consuming thing, and if you have your process of already knowing where all your samples are at, you just go to them because it's all about speed, right? So and then whenever you get in front of your computer, you just want to get to cooking up. You don't want to sit there and be tagging samples for like 2 hours. So that's one of the things that I haven't utilized or set the time aside to do, but
hear that.
Dope feature.
This is something I've been doing with my samples lately. Yep. So like when you work with samples, sometimes what'll happen when you pitch them around and warp them, they'll be in between the notes. So like you won't be able to easily detect what the key of the thing is. So if you're adding instrumentation on top, this was a workaround that I found was when you go to
it could be a little flat or a little sharp, right?
Exactly. Okay. So you find the nearest note that it's around.
Yep.
And you go up into that fine pitch, that fine tune right there, and then just hold that, or keep hitting that note that it's kind of close to, and pitch it either up or down, and that's how you can melodically like fit it into the sample.
That's
so
dope.
When you're doing that with your 808s, when you're doing with your keys, sometimes if it's not quite in the pocket, it'll stand out in a way that you don't want. Fine tune it either up or down. Yeah. And it'll be able to.
And do you leave that range on 2, or do you maneuver that? Because that
usually 2 is enough. Like when you're doing that kind of fine tuning, because the 2 just affects the sensitivity of like how it's how it's bending.
Yep. That's like for those of you that don't know, this 2 is like how many semitones this knob is when it's all the way up.
Right.
So if this knob is all the way up, this is the easiest way I can explain it. If this knob is all the way up or all the way down, this, whatever is in this sampler, has now just gone up 2 semitones or down 2 semitones. And then anywhere in between, it's like, this might be 0.4 of a semitone. You know what I'm saying? 0.5. This right here, halfway, is, that's probably 1 semitone. If you go to 100 cents, that's 1 semitone.
Right. So usually when you're working with samples and stuff, it'll be like, a semitone or 2 off. So that's usually enough.
Yep.
But yeah, like that was something that it took me a minute to kind of figure out, where I was just like, these 808s are not sitting right in this sample. You know what I mean? It'll be like a soul sample.
Yeah.
But then the 808s won't sit perfectly in the pocket. Same thing with keys. You can do the same thing if you have like your legacy keys open or any of the VSTs that are like native to to FL Studio.
Do you feel like that happens when you're like, say, in the playlist and you're stretching a sample just to match the tempo, and then that's where it kind of ends up being a little bit flat or sharp? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, if you don't reset the pitch wheel, then it'll like warp it in some weird way, and it'll sit kind of like in between the notes, as it were.
Yeah.
But if you reset the pitch wheel, then it'll go back to the original key of the song.
Yep.
Yeah. But
and then he's talking about this pitch wheel right here.
Correct. Yeah.
But when you're warping it and say in the playlist, and if you keep it on auto, it's gonna change the key and the pitch of this sample. So if you're stretching around here, now you just change the pitch right there.
Yeah. Which,
so
by the way,
reset it.
If you ever want to like freak your beats up, a lot of times you'll like stretch the beat to fit perfectly in like the increments of like 2, 4, like all that. Do exactly what you got right there and play it out. You know what I'm saying? Like stretch it only to 3 bars and see how the rhythm sits in the context of everything.
True, bro.
If you ever just want to have fun and like freak something out, just have an accident.
Have a happy accident. That you just made me think of another thing, bro. That nobody uses. I feel like I don't see anybody using it. The time warper.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that,
bro. This is pretty fire, because what you can essentially do is change the grid in here.
Oh, okay.
So like, let's say, we have a 1/4 pattern. Change it to a 3rd beat, right? Now your grid in here is at a 3rd, and anything you snap to is now gonna lock it into a 3rd. So you're gonna have like a triplet vibe on a sample that wasn't a triplet vibe if you just go ahead and lock it into the grid on a 1/3 beat. So now you have...
Yeah, there you go.
So you have some like wacky pattern that you didn't have. Right. And it's whatever the algorithm is in there is fire, and it doesn't, and if it does add some like distortion or some weird artifacts to the sample, it's in a good way, in my opinion. Right. And you could do this with drums, you could do this with melodic samples, loops. It's awesome. And this is something that like,
you could put that groove knob all the way up. I'm sure that sounds crazy. You reverse
100%.
that, it's gonna sound nuts.
Yeah, bro. I mean, there's so many things in here. The only thing that I've really messed with is like, I love going to a third and just like freaking it and just doing some weird stuff on there. The other thing that's cool about it is you can fix things. You could drop a vocal in there and kind of fix the rhythm of a vocal, or warp and mess with the rhythm of a vocal. Think about the possibilities are endless with that.
Right.
It's fire. You could save it. Then you can just like Edison or Newtone, you could just drag it in as a new sample. So you would just drag it right in, and now it's its own brand new sample that's been warped and whatnot.
You know what I've been messing with lately with like making my drums is Slice X.
Slice X.
I'll go into Slice X
and with drums.
Oh yeah, with drums. So like I'll drop in a drum loop from like an old like soul record or a drum break or whatever, and then I'll use that auto slice. Usually the dull auto slice is enough, but you can go in and individually chop certain things, and it gets assigned to the keyboard starting at like your middle C.
Hell yeah.
And I'll just finger drum new rhythms into there. That's been like my favorite lately, has been doing that.
Yeah, Slice X. And then where do you go? Where do you go?
You could could probably drop a drum loop up in there.
Yeah, just let me drop this one in here. Why not?
Because that'll be good. What's good is that's got a really good, like, those are really clean transients. So when you drop it in, it's going to be nice and clean with where the chops happen. Yeah. And then that thing in the corner, the razor blade, is your dull, the bottom, right there. Yep. If you right click that, you got dull, medium, and sharp auto slicing. Yep. And that's really useful. Or you can just completely get rid of all of them, and you can just individually put in markers with the next button to the left from that razor. Oh yeah. So you can just like the one to the left. You can chop in whatever it is. I don't know what that one to the right you just hovered over is.
This one?
What is that?
This one is dump it to the piano roll.
Oh, there you go.
So whatever you just created with your chops, you dump that version of it into the piano roll.
There you go. Yeah, this is dope. So I've been using this a lot. So like you can, have a drum sample and then just play it the way that you want. That's been.
This is like a way more advanced version of Fruity Slicer. And essentially the way I would explain it, and I think the way even like ImageLine explains it, is it's like having Fruity Slicer with Edison combined into it. Because essentially this window right here is Edison. All these buttons right here are like almost a complete mirror of what's in Edison as far as features go. They're almost the same things, minus, the slicing and whatnot, and the dump to score in piano roll. But it's essentially like it's a having an Edison with Fruity Slicer combination. Pretty dope.
I'll use Slice X for like melodic samples too, and I'll use that pitch slider at the top to kind of like warp it, slow it down, speed it up.
This one?
Yeah, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I'll get like a drum pattern going, and then with that pitcher, I'll just kind of mess around with how the melody is sitting within the drum. Okay. And that's cool. So like a lot of times I'll make something out, which is we'll get to a verses real quick, but I'll record something, make it sound like a sample, and treat it like a sample. Yeah. So that way, it's a sample vibe.
I can't say it enough, bro. Like the possibilities are endless. Yeah. Sample yourself. There's no reason to really get stuck. I mean, there is a reason. The reason that you'd be getting stuck in a creation process is, I think, not having the knowledge of where to go or what to try, like different things to try, like this. Like, you would have never, like, if somebody didn't get inspired by a video or like watching somebody work or just stumbling across something like this and just having that thought of maybe I should try it, you'd be getting stuck. You know what I mean? Like it'd be tough to know what to do next. Like this melody doesn't sound right. What do I do? Just trash it? That happens a lot. People just end up trashing ideas when they could open up Slicer or Newtone or newtime and just kind of just flip a sample into something completely different.
Right. That's why I love sampling. Because you can take something that exists and you can manipulate it to the point where it's something totally different. And that's kind of my challenge with sampling, is like, it's not enough. Like I don't like producers that just loop something up and you can tell exactly what it was, and it's just like, you didn't do enough with this, man. Because I feel like the art of producing and making beats specifically is like really exercising your creativity over something. Like anybody can go into Splice, make a stack, and drop that into the piano roll or into the playlist. But I think it takes something really innovative within you to like slow it down, speed it up, reverse it, print it to audio, and do some other stuff to it.
But it's
like,
having the knowledge of even knowing like how to do that stuff and having the thought to go in that direction with things. So it's, you know, get inspired, watch people creating, watch people that are doing these things.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, you're listening to the podcast, so we're trying to give you this information too. Like,
right.
Use these tools. FL Studio has an endless amount of tools, pretty much, that they've accumulated over the 20 plus years that they've been around, 25, maybe 30 years almost. Like, they've accumulated all these tools. Utilize the tools. You don't have to use every one of them.
And I've heard challenges where like people will they'll be like, I'm going to make a beat in as little time as possible. A challenge I'd put out there is make one beat in as much time as possible. Seriously.
Spend as much time as you can.
Spend as much time manipulating and messing and learning the program and like the different features and like make it something unrecognizable, bro. Like for real. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people be like, I made this beat in 3 seconds. And it's like, yeah, I can tell.
I can tell you did.
It's
because it might sound good.
It's
like
GarageBand loops.
Yeah. And it might sound okay. Like the drums might hit hard, but that's the thing. A lot of people get upset where looping is using loops is cheating, blah, blah, blah. I think the industry and like the listener will just be able not to tell that it's just, you know, no passion behind it, that or just like that you use the loop. They'll be able to tell that it just doesn't hit right to them. Even though it sounds good, there's just something there's something missing in it, like maybe some sort of emotion or like that passion or like that time that goes into music.
Right. Yeah.
So don't worry about it. Like
taste.
Having these arguments about looping is cheating. The listener and the masses will decide if it's a good song or a good beat or not.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
And you'll notice throughout time that maybe it's because I haven't put time into learning how to create like really good melodies, or I haven't put time into like really just learning how to sample and flip samples and get really creative with a loop that somebody else made. Like, let me get creative with it and not just throw it in there and throw a drum pattern on top.
Right. Yeah.
The people will notice, and if your music's, that's why we say if your music's good, that's all you really got to worry about. If it's good,
it's got to have teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's got to have something to it that makes it like, ooh, you hear that, you're like, oh, damn, that's different. That's something different. That's something new.
Yep. Well, this episode's flying along. I want to drop the keyword right now. Let's drop a keyword. You want to think of a keyword?
Yeah,
or a key phrase?
I got one.
What you got?
Orangutan.
Orangutan
is the keyword this week.
I don't know how to spell it. You can misspell it. You can spell it. We'll get the gist. Drop it down in the comment section below here on YouTube. If you're listening or watching somewhere else, you got to comment that keyword on YouTube in the comment section. 5 winners will be chosen to get every single one of my FL Studio courses.
True.
Next week, we'll announce the winners. While we're here, let's announce the winners from last week's episode.
I got to get that YouTube premium because they're showing me an advertisement on root beer floats. Which...
You like root beer floats?
Yeah, I've been having them every day.
Really?
No.
I was thinking maybe like Google and YouTube.
Yeah, how to make a root beer float.
Yeah.
Root beer. All right, here we go. I'm scrolling.
Winner number 1.
Pale Horse 88. Sounds kind of crazy, but Sennheiser... Sennheiser sounds like a tasty cold brew. Shouts out does. Pale Horse 88.
Winner number 2.
Oh, here we go. Andrew Hall 6038.
Let's go.
He says,
Congrats.
Great show.
Thank you.
Can't wait to win a Sennheiser Cybertruck. Hey, bro, Andrew, I don't know if they're up to date on that, bro. You might have the jump on that. This is JT Haskitso. JT Haskitso 2280. Sennheiser Gas Podcast, boys. Keep it up. We're going to keep scrolling. What is that, 3? That's 3, right?
That's 3.
All right.
And the 5th winner is going to be the one that wins the microphone.
Number 4, Sennheiser is the GOAT.
Or did I do that last week?
Lil Des wins some stuff.
Yeah, all my FL Studio courses.
We're going to scroll one more time for number 5. Number 5.
And this number 5 winner is going to win all of my FL Studio production courses and the Profile USB microphone from Sennheiser.
And the winner of the Sennheiser microphone is Ferris That Joint Lit.
Ferris That Joint Lit.
So reach out
Yep.
Make sure you claim your prize.
On my Instagram. So if you heard your name, DM me on Instagram and we'll hash out all the details. Congratulations to the 5 winners.
That's right. You just got to give Larry your banking information, your social security. That's all.
Yeah. Access to your computer and we're good.
Allow me to remote view your computer.
All right. Now we got that out of the way. I was going to say let's do a Guess That plugin, but you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here.
That's true. I
And
have to go like this.
Yeah, and just don't cheat.
I'll go like this.
How about that?
Honor system here.
All right, yeah, honor system. Just
Honor
don't cheat.
system.
You cheat me.
You cheat me.
All right, here we go. Ready? I'm going to choose a plugin. Here we go. All right, I have a plugin. Let me choose a preset. No cheating. No cheating.
I'm trying so hard not to cheat just because there's a screen. Dang. I have no clue.
All right, let me give you multiple choice. Is it A, Harmer, B, Kepler, or C, SAR?
I'm going to say the first one.
Harmer?
Yeah.
Wrong. Kepler. Oh, man.
All right, give me the tempo.
Oh, you want to do a tempo?
Guess that tempo.
You want just like a click track? How are we going to do this?
Yeah, click track's fine.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Like I said, I stole this idea from BeatStars. It's hard unless you have multiple choice. All right.
Uh-huh.
Is it A, 135, B, 147, C, 115, or D, 105?
115.
You got it, bro.
Hey, come on, man.
He got it.
I'm a numbers guy, bro.
He's good.
I'm a numbers guy.
He's good, yo.
I'm a suburban boy. I'm a suburban dude.
Oh my God, remember that meme? Yo, that was good.
115. I could snipe the numbers. The
was
plugins, good. Man, I'm not getting a single plugin ever.
Got the tempo like that. Quick with the quickness. He was waiting for me to say 115.
I was like, 115.
He already knew it.
That's the mustard on the beat.
That was good, yo. That was good.
That put the mustard on the beat.
Maybe next week we'll go the other way around and we'll do Guess This Plugin and
we
Guess
need a
That
little
tempo
table to rotate this on.
I know.
That would
the
be
thing
crazy.
is with the wires, if I I would love to rotate it right now, but I have a feeling if I do and the HDMI gets messed up, it'll stop the screen recording, it'll stop like the sound and everything.
Right.
I have a feeling that might happen. Or we just switch chairs.
Yeah,
we could do that'd be easier.
That would be crazy.
Maybe we switch chairs. We do a little swap-a-roo.
They're doing reconstruction.
They're building. I think they're building an SUV in there.
We're building a new studio, guys.
Oh man, I think we're getting towards the end of the episode.
Yes.
And you got to go, right?
Correct.
Yes, you got to.
I got to skedaddle.
Is there anything else like that you wanted to talk about? Anything else you want to like maybe drop some socials? Because you're dropping music here and there, bro. Like drop your socials.
True.
Drop where people can find you. If they don't already, I'm sure like a bunch of people already know.
Man.
But like just drop it.
My socials would be ITS John Phelps. That's on TikTok and Instagram. John Phelps, exactly how it's spelled on like Spotify and all that stuff. I'm dropping new music all the time. So tap in.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, make sure to share this with a friend if you get me.